Think of sporty BMW passenger cars, and for many people it's the M3 and M4 that spring to mind. Vehicles that have been partly upstaged by the new but scintillating M2. But there is another lesser known upstart that ticks many of the same boxes as those performance flagships, and it's just been updated. Actually, make that a couple of lesser known upstarts. The BMW M240i Coupe and equivalent M140i hatch have just received notable updates for 2017, with a power upgrade, additional standard trim and a cheaper purchase price. Inline turbocharged 6-cylinder engine, rear-wheel drive, 250 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque. Now if my schoolboy maths is correct, that's more torque on paper than the M2, and this thing costs $15,000 less. Yep, you heard right. The recipient of a redesigned engine with a shorter intake and integrated manifold intercooler, the M240i and equivalent M140i hatch produce 35 newton meters more than the M2's older generation power plant on paper, at least until the M2 arrives at a peak 500 newton meters via an overboost function. The M240i's performance suite also includes adaptive M suspension, variable sports steering, 4-piston front and 2-piston rear brakes, and an electronic differential lock. So is the 240i a dynamic equivalent for the M2? Well, I'll get to that in a little bit, but the first impression is certainly strong. It has crisp steering, excellent body control, and that inherent front to rear balance that you'd expect from a BMW Coupe. So dynamic box tick there. And it goes. In case you were wondering, 0 to 100 takes just 4.6 seconds in the M240i. That makes it 0.3 of a second slower than the M2, but it uses less fuel in doing so. Make no mistake, this car is all about the driving experience, and for me, the engine has to be the highlight. It has this really rich torque curve that materialises from just 1520 RPM, and then it segues into this usable and peaky rev ceiling. Stringing the entire package together is either an 8-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual, and they both seem to offer the right gear for any speed or any occasion. Similarly, the M240i's ride is more compliant than rivals of this ilk, with firm but comfortable progress over all but the bumpiest of surfaces. Road noise and a lack of a digital speedo are about the only real foibles in terms of packaging, while limited brakes and lesser equipped tyres slightly detract from the dynamic experience on track. Now unfortunately, none of the cars that we're driving today feature that optional mechanical limited slip differential, and from what we've learnt in the previous M235i and M135i, that's a bit of a prerequisite if you want to drive the car out on the track. But even in standard guise, this car is quite a capable device on a twisting bit of road. So, is it an M2 killer? Look, out on the track, the M240i is very good, but it doesn't quite get there in terms of its more storied sibling. The fact it misses out on that limited slip rear differential and also some of the M-car fine-tuning means it doesn't quite get there. But as a road car, this thing is a formidable weapon. It's $15,000 cheaper than the M2 and it's not subject to a waiting list. If you weren't fussed on having the M2 badge on your boot, well then this thing should definitely be up for consideration.